Hello, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of VetsPlusSports.com. I am your host, Terrell Cool Beans Davis, also with my co host, Mr. James Miller.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be back on the air here, doing live. We didn't get an audio in between like we usually do, but before we get in to tonight's segment, we'll let Beans do a shout out to our listeners.
Yes, once again, I'd love to send a shout out to. We thank our listeners for listening to us. Uh, we have Brussels, Belgium, uh, pulling the weight. We also got San Jose, California, Ashburn, Virginia. We also have Boardman, Washington, and anyone that I did not mention. We appreciate you all.
Yeah,
Thank you for watching.
thank everyone for watching and listening, and we'll get into a few things. Like I said, we didn't do the audio. You had the NBA Finals wrapping up. We may get into that a little bit later. We may have a guest coming on later if he can make it, Mr. Sean Keller that we mentioned before. Um, if not, we'll get into the NBA about halfway into this segment. But I think we need to touch on the NHL and the
Yes,
Stanley Cup. I
yes.
mean, we were talking about bringing the brooms out when it went 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
And now look at these Edmonton Oilers storming back, tying it up 3-3. Um, and the last two games, the it's been they've been laying it to them.
Yeah.
So it's like Edmonton woke up.
It sure is. It was like when I was talking about it before. Remember when I said when the series first started, because I picked Edmonton, but I said I probably picked wrong because two games that they had played during the beginning of the year, uh, Panthers won both of them, and I
Yeah,
was like, they haven't beat them all year. Then all of a sudden they come back, knock three out in a row. So it's like to me, and like everybody's predicting. I was looking at I went to ESPN.com. The favorite winner is Florida because they're playing in Florida. It's the last game, but I'm thinking they lost momentum when they lost those last three games because I think they got in the back of my mind. It's like you're not gonna beat us four times in a row. You're
well,
not gonna beat us four times in a
I
row.
mean, back on the 21st. Uh, let's see here. Let's see when did they? Nah, let me back it up here. On the 8th, me back it up. 18th, 15th, last Saturday, the Oilers won 5-3, and they made that a 3-2, and then on Tuesday, the 18th, I was telling you wrong. That was Tuesday the 18th. It was 5-3,
Right.
and then let's see if it bring it up. The Saturday game, that's the one I looked at when they played in Edmonton, and it was 8-1, the final on that one.
Yeah, I know. I was like, whoa.
So it was like they gave it to them, and then I was thinking, well, they ain't gonna win this next one. And then Tuesday, June the 18th, the Oilers won 5-3, and now we're looking at they're going, and they won 5-1 last night. And we're facing a game 7, but there's something that's sticking out to this. These last three games, the Oilers Edmonton's been putting it on Florida. I mean, eight to
Yeah,
one and 5-1. So to say that Edmonton won't win in Florida, I
yeah,
mean,
because they've done it. They've won in Florida now.
they've done one in Florida. I think they've took the momentum.
Yep.
Um, and I've seen something here, Cool Beans, that with this NHL, the Stanley Cup Finals here, just like the NBA Finals, like this year, like all the games are blowouts. I mean, if you look in the NBA Finals, yeah, even when Dallas closed in, they were blowing out the whole game, in
Hmm.
games 1 and 2, and they Dallas, when they won the only game in the series, they blew Boston out.
Exactly.
So now the Oilers have been wearing Florida out these last 3 games, and now you're going back to Florida, and it's going to be on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Monday, this coming Monday, back in Florida. So if I'm able to, I'm going to try to watch that and see, because I figure that's going to be a good game. It may go down to the wire.
It is going down. So far, I only caught one. I watched one whole game, and then I watched part of another. But I mean, like, it's the weirdest part. It's like I never watched hockey before and all this other stuff. But my main thing is the reason I really was watching it, the fights. I just I couldn't get over the fights.
Well, that sounds like, when I was growing up, we watched a little NASCAR growing up. And the only reason I was watching it was for the wrecks.
Right.
So, you're watching the hockey for the fights.
I mean,
But
the fights have been brutal. I mean, like, it's even like it's stuff like if this went on in the NBA or NFL, because the refs are getting there trying to break it, and they'll push the refs, they'll slam the refs up against the wall and everything, and they're like, you get ejected for that.
so, in looking, I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna try to watch this game Monday, if I'm able to. Just like we mentioned on the last Saturday, I had a little baby. My wife had a little baby Monday,
Right.
so things have been a little busy here this past week. But
Understandable.
if I can get in to watch that, I'm gonna try to bring that up and watch it to see that game 7. But I want to see something here. I don't know. I know in the NBA, no one has never come back down 3-1. I
Yep.
don't think in the
Nope.
NBA to win it.
Nope.
Have you heard anything on the NHL?
I was looking that up and I could not. First of all, I started off wrong. I started looking at info up 30 minutes before the show, before we got on live. So, but I probably should have looked at it earlier because I was trying to find out it has anybody in the NHL come back from being down 3-0 in the Stanley Cup, and I just couldn't find it.
Well, right now it's saying right now what I've got. Since the expansion of this era or whatever it says, no team has trailed 3-0 in the Stanley Cup final and came back to win the best of 7 championship.
Hmm.
Only the 1942 Maple Leafs did it 82 years ago. But since the expansion and everything,
It hasn't been done.
it hasn't been done. So just like in the NBA, it hasn't been done. You're down 3-1 or 3-0 or anything. It hasn't, and it ain't been done. So, um,
It's all on the momentum is all on the Oilers right now.
it is.
Uh,
It's like a light switch flipped.
yep.
Um, and you know, so we'll see how the momentum goes with this, and I'm going to try to make sure I get in to watch this Game 7 of Stanley Cup because I think it's going to be a good one.
I think it is too. 'Cause I swear those fights have just been brutal, and I was like,
Well,
oh, it,
after the first 2 games of that series, Game 1 and Game 2, I thought it was over.
I did
I
too.
mean, Florida was dominating and everything else, and Florida came out to play, and it's like a light switch. It's changed. And it's just crazy how sports work as far as momentum. Do you think it's like they get lackadaisy, get relaxed, or do you think that's what it is when it comes to sports like this? When you got
I
these
think
game sevens,
yes, because actually, I think that's what happened to Florida when they went up 3-0. They thought it was going to be a sweep, and then Edmonton won that, and they said, "Oh well, you're not going to beat us 4 times in a row." The next game came, and Edmonton won. Oh, you're not going to beat us 4 times in a row. And then the next game came, and then they got beat again.
and see, that's like that Game 5 in the NBA Finals. I thought for sure Dallas was going to win that one
I
to,
did too.
to go back to Game 6, but that didn't happen. They didn't show up, and but momentum switched back and forth. And in that game too, when Dallas won Game 4 in Dallas, I mean they blew Boston out,
Yep.
and then in Game 5, Boston blew them out.
Yep. Because that's
That
the only game that Dallas played. Like I told you this whole time, that wasn't Dallas. Those were
no,
Timberwolves in Dallas jerseys.
they acted like the Timberwolves, just like we just don't want to get swept and we'll be all right
Exactly.
because they didn't show up for a Game 5, that's for sure. And I was actually at the hospital holding my little boy, and my wife turned that on for me, and I looked at that and I seen that score in the third quarter. I said, I turn this off. They ain't coming back. I said, it's over. So, and sure enough, they didn't win that. And but I got you on that one, Beans. You had Dallas win in that finals.
I sure did.
I had Boston winning it, but we had them going 7.
Yep.
We missed that. But and I think I got the Panthers winning this series, and you got the Oilers winning it.
Yep.
You may win this. We may break even.
We might. We got to see how it goes. Like cause like I said, the Panthers are saying you ain't gonna beat us 4 times in a row, and today they're gonna say it with a question mark. You ain't gonna beat us 4 times in a row.
That's it. So we can get on, and we touch a little bit over here with the women's NBA. And
Right.
like right now, we just as soon as it popped up, Liberty just beat the Sparks 98-88. And you get these updates all the time on my phone. If you follow sports and get these notifications and everything else. And earlier, Mystics beat. I mean, they didn't beat. They destroyed the Wings, 97-69. And right now, you got the Lynx and the Mercury playing there in the third quarter. Lynx 46 and Mercury is 37. But I had a thing that came to my notification, and it was about Caitlin Clark. And I love how the news media spins stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, Caitlin's finally in her groove. She had 16 points, and then I don't know what it was, 6 assists, maybe 8 rebounds or something like that. I don't know. And then this is how they were spinning it. Well, now she's in her groove. Now she's in her groove. I mean, 16 points ain't bad, but I mean, thinking in a groove, I was thinking, 20, 30 points.
Right.
But, they're the news media and the journalists are loving this Caitlin Clark thing.
Yeah. It's making money. Just
Making
like
money.
I want to just try it, just to be a butthead. I want to put a post on like X or maybe even on our Vets Plus Sports we got, and just put Caitlin Clark and just write the article a bunch of nothing. Has nothing to do with her. I guarantee just the title and her name on it, it's gonna get some clicks. I want to do some clickbait real bad, but I was at the same time I said I don't want to mess up the brand, so I don't do it. But
Well, that's what you told me how it is. That's all it is. That's like with my Chiefs. I get these updates all the time, and I seen a thing which actually I was scrolling down on some news, and it said Harris Buckner cut from special teams. I'm like, cut? What do you mean cut? Well, one of them was, which now they got the kickoff is going to be different now.
yeah,
So Harris Buckner, I got the reading to it. And Harris Buckner ain't going to be kicking the ball off, which is no big deal. He's our field goal kicker.
yeah, it's they put a defensive back or somebody. I forgot who they put that said it's going to be doing the kick. I
But
want to say was it McDuffie? I
now
can't remember.
there is a McDuffie, but then there was another one that came up a few days later. Once again, it said Harris Buckner cut from special teams, and they said, and I got to clicking on it, reading it, and they said, well, he's not punting. He was never intended to punt. That's the reason they brought that punter in from Buffalo, and they let our punter go because they didn't want to pay him all that big money. There was no
Mhm.
intentions of him punting. But it's that, like you said, it's that clickbait. The news is spinning it around so people will click on it and read it.
Yep.
But the and I seen there has been. Have you seen the injuries that has started coming in the women's NBA? There's been some big key injuries. to a couple of the players, and that one is Brinks for the Sparks. She got injured the other day, and I think she may be. If that's the one, I think she may be out for the season.
Right.
Torn ACL, I think.
Oh,
And so now, and you got to think the women's are not playing all these games like the NBA, the men and the NBA are during the week. They're just kind of spread out a little bit, so they get some
right.
rest. But you're starting to see the some key injuries.
Well, it should be picking up now that the men's is over. And here's the one thing I'm wondering: are we gonna have? Because I might as well talk about it on camera. I was gonna talk to you off camera about it. I was wondering. I don't know what we're gonna get first. Is it gonna be the WNBA finals or does the Olympics start first? The Olympics is I know is in July,
Olympics, the women's NBA finals. I think that's like in August, September.
August, September. Okay,
Yeah, so we'll have the Olympics. Actually, the Olympics will start. I think is it next week. Some of the games start next week. I think with soccer,
okay.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up.
But because I know I seen like the last week of June, I think there was some stuff that was going on with the Olympics.
Hmm.
And we'll try to keep up with a little bit of that. That way, we do our cast and everything and talk about that. Um, but I'm going to bring up while I'm in here with the women's NBA. I'm going to bring up the standings here. Let's go over them. Like, see how much has changed since the last time we was in here looking at it.
Right, because one thing I was thinking about when you said when you ran up the scores, you said the Mystics dominated. I forgot who you said they played. They dominated, them, beat them like 90 something to 60 something.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, the Mystics are the ones that started off 0-12.
Well, are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fever was in last place at one time, right?
Yep.
Guess who's got that 8 seed right now?
Oh, the Fever.
7-10. 7-10. Now the Mystics are still dead. They're in last at 3-13. But you've got Indiana 7-10 now. And they got that 8 seed. And Atlanta Dream, they're 6-8 at the 7th seed. But towards the top of it, you still got Kinetic Sun, they're 13-2. New York Liberty is 14-3. The Minnesota Lynx is 12-3. And then Seattle Storm is 9-6. And Vegas Aces are 8-6. And the Phoenix Mercury are at 8-7. So that's rounding up the top 8 right now. So as of right now, if the playoffs would start, Indiana Fever would be in the playoffs.
Right. You know what's surprising about that? The Aces, they're like from what you said, they should be about the 6th seed. And the Aces, they were actually, I think they actually won it last year.
They're the 5th seed right as of right now.
5th seed.
Yeah. They're the 5th seed. And but there's still some games to play. They're only 17 games in, some of them. And I think they play 40 is what they play. So we'll keep up with this and everything else. And it seems like Indiana may have it together now.
Yep.
And maybe they'll start doing a little better. And I done forgot, who does Reese, who she play for? The
Chicago
Spark,
Sky.
the
She's Sky.
Sky. Oh, okay, Chicago Sky. And
You
guess
didn't
what?
even mention them in that list.
No, they're in the 9th spot, right behind Indiana. so
Yeah,
so
and
they're in
Caitlin
that.
got them clipped them last couple of games.
Yeah, so it's going to be now. Like I said, since a lot of this NBA stuff is over, and this hockey will be over, then maybe I'll try to watch a little bit of these WNBA games to keep up with some of it and everything that's going on.
Right.
But there's a lot, to keep up with when it comes to when you got a bunch of stuff going on, like you had the NBA and the Stanley Cup going together, and
Right.
keeping
Especially
up.
like when the playoffs first started off, when you had so many teams, it was like you had all 16 teams in it. It was so much that they couldn't even air it all. It's like some of it would come on NBA TV, and NBA TV is not on everything. I think you can get NBA TV on satellite, but you can't get it on cable.
Yeah. All right. Moving on right here. Let's see.
Right. And before we move on, speaking of when we was talking about clickbait, let's go ahead and get some of our clickbait in there. It's time to bring out the buy me a coffee. This way you can help support the channel and we can continue to bring you great content from buy me a coffee. Just help us out. All we ask you to do is just to buy a coffee.
There's something you mentioned to me earlier, before we go earlier in the day, and I had no idea that it had happened. And Willie Mays passed away the other day,
Right.
and it seems like the last couple of weeks within the sports, you've been losing some known figures, and you had Jerry West that passed.
Mm-hmm.
Then now Willie Mays. You had one of your Dallas Cowboys linemen,
Larry Allen.
Larry Allen, passed away a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And as a little boy growing up, baseball was what I lived and died doing. Was growing up. That's what I thought about. And then I got into football, but growing up with baseball, seeing the highlights of Willie Mays and everything else, and I seen a thing the other day, and this I seen it, but I didn't know he passed away, and that's probably the reason it was popping up on a news feed. Um, Wherever Willie was at the time, I guess he was playing street ball, like they did in the streets and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And the team that first signed him at the time, they were last in the division. Well, then they signed Willie Mays, and then they end up winning the pennant.
How about that?
So that year, and which we know, I know he played with the Giants, and that's where he's known for a lot of his amazing catches that he did over the shoulder. He had speed, he could hit, and there was a lot to baseball because of him. And I'm trying to see. Let's see what it says here. I was trying to see how old he was.
Oh yeah, I forgot what his age was.
He was born
Honest,
in he was born in 31.
yeah.
So let's see,
I thought it
70.
was 90 something,
Yeah,
but I ain't good at math.
70. Yeah, it'd be 90, what, 95, wouldn't it? Would that be right? 94, 95?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Cause about 94. You say he was born in 31. If it went
31.
all the way to 2031, that'd been 100 years.
7. Yeah, so about 94,
Yeah.
because we're in 24 now. And he was born June, he died June 18th. He was born May 6th. So he just had a birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So he was 94 years old.
94,
98, 93, 93.
93.
So he was 93 years old. I hate to see that. I mean, he lived to be an old life and everything else, lived to be an upper age, but it's how you just hate to see it when you see these sports legends pass away.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll be moving on here. I'm going to mention something. We talked about it. I seen it pop up yesterday, I think it was. And me being a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and we mentioned, back in April, how they didn't pass that bill that keep the taxes so they can
I remember.
renovate the stadium
Uh-huh.
and everything else. Well, the state of Kansas, the lawmakers and the governor are pushing it, and they already got something in place for them if they want to come to Kansas. They've already got it in place for them. They're going to take care of the stadiums for them. then later on would reimburse them. They'd have to pay that money back later on once they get established. So Kansas, the state of Kansas, has already got something in. And then one of the lawmakers in Kansas, Missouri, was complaining, saying the Chiefs were trying to get the state of Missouri and Kansas against each other.
Yeah,
I'm
that's the
like,
way the game goes. I mean,
I mean, the thing is, and she was the one, that one lawmaker, she was the one that voted against it. So, no, I mean, it's like a business ordeal. I mean, they got to,
yeah.
that
You're not gonna
Arrowhead,
sit here and hog time me down here. I want something. You said no. They said yes, and I'm
we're
gonna
going
go
to
over
take it.
here.
And
Don't be complaining about it.
Arrowhead Stadium is an old stadium. So, you got to have, I think they're going to realize, oh no, they're leaving, and there goes that $700 to $800 million revenue from them
Exactly.
for the city. They're like, oh no, what are we going to do?
And you know how old Arrowhead is? When I was a kid, I used to watch it. With what's the name? Okoye, the Nigerian Nightmare.
Oh yeah,
Christian
oh yeah,
Okoye.
oh yeah. That dude was a beast.
Yeah. And Derek Thomas.
Derek Thomas.
Yeah.
You had, and I remember Derek Thomas as a little boy and everything else. And so, I mean, I don't know what they expect.
That's over 30 some years ago. And
Yeah,
it's still in that stadium. And you think they're supposed to just stay there?
and then you have the mayor. 1972 is when that stadium was completed. So it's 52 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the mayor of Missouri said that, well, we can't, they can't talk about or negotiate it until 31. What's he talking about? They,
31 is too late.
yeah, I mean, yeah, 31's too late to negotiate because they're contracting up until 31. So they're finishing this contract up. What they voted on back in April was to extend it on past that and to add stuff into it so they can renovate on the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
These people, I mean, these lawmakers and stuff, I don't know what they're talking about. They can just up and leave whenever they want.
Yeah, they try to make it seem like it's one of those they don't want the blame, even though it's the blame is on them. They're
Yeah,
trying to spin it to where like, "Oh,
that's
so
it.
we don't negotiate that till 31. Come on, man. You know you don't negotiate a contract when it's expiring. You
No, yeah,
negotiate it while it's still legal. So when so it's a sweet transition. You already
mhm.
have it negotiated, you have it signed. When the other one ends, the new one begins. It's a sweet transition.
So so they'll be playing even if say they do leave Missouri, they're playing there at Arrowhead until 31, 2031. So 7 more years. They said, I was reading on that article, it takes 3 to 4 years to build a stadium. So if they decide, yeah, we're going to Kansas, the baseball field and the football field will be built by the time it was time for them to leave.
Yep.
And here's the kicker, though: Kansas City, the state of Kansas, not Kansas City, the state of Kansas, I think is going to go ahead and build those stadiums anyway. And if the Chiefs don't come,
They can
then
get they'll
then they exactly they'll get a
expansion.
yeah, expansion baseball and expansion football team. So that was part of the article they were talking about. They're probably going to still build it anyway,
Yep.
even if the Chiefs come. To me, I hope the Chiefs go across the state line because I mean you've been there so many years, and that bill didn't pass. I mean, it wasn't even close. It was like 60% no. Like, okay, you don't want us here? We'll go elsewhere where we're wanted.
Exactly.
So I hope they leave, and then they're going to be pulling their hair out. How are we going to make up all this money now?
Yep.
So because you got to have renovations, especially on these older stadiums, and to expand and everything else. And now you got the Royals this year are competing. The Kansas City Royals are doing good. So I mean, these stadiums are older. You got to help them out and expand or do whatever.
Right. And you got to think of it. Now, see, the average citizen don't know politics. So they looking at it like they voted no against it because they don't want no more coming out their pocket. But what they don't realize, more is coming out your pocket anyway.
Yep,
Because when that team up and move, guess what? The city's got to recuperate that money somehow, and they're gonna raise your taxes anyway. Your
that,
taxes were
that's
going to
it.
be raised anyway.
Gas, food, or whatever it be, rent or whatever. However, they're going to make up that money. And that's a lot of money to come up with.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that and everything else. But I seen that, and because I hadn't heard nothing on it for a little while, and then that popped up. I think it was yesterday, the day before, and everything else. But I mean, in order to say they're going to say, well, they're trying to get us to uh, fight against Kansas and Missouri to go against each other. No, they're not. It's a business ordeal,
Exactly.
and these lawmakers know about business. That's what all they're about: is business and making money. But did you see that? You remember old Barry Sanders?
Hmm.
Last weekend he had it showed us he had some health issues, had a little scare with heart related health issues, but and Barry Sanders is what 52, 55, 55 I think,
Yeah, about that.
about 55. So yeah, that was in the news as well. But I was hoping our little guest would be able to come on here this evening, but it's
Right.
not looking like it is.
I
But
don't remember somebody in the NFL. I wanted to talk about it. He got cut. Uh he just got a DUI.
for defensive end for the Browns,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's
he they cut him. He crashed his car into a
into a restaurant.
restaurant, and then he was obstructing the police officers and everything. And he was only 23 years old, and the Browns cut him. And I was going to mention that tonight too. I'm glad you did. We done talked about this. These young kids, they go stupid. I'm just
Mm,
gonna. I mean that's all I'm gonna say. You done seen uh, with Rice in Kansas City what happened there.
right.
Um, and then now you got another young one that's not paying. I mean, I just don't get it, man. Keep your nose clean. You're in the spotlight. That stuff it's not going to get out. Like me and you may do something out there. All right, it may go local.
Hmm.
That's as far as it's going. But with these pro athletes, it's going national.
Yep.
They're going to hear it over in Germany. They're going to hear it in China and everywhere else. It's going national.
It sure
So
is.
I mean, I don't get these young kids, man, um, throwing away their careers and everything else that you and I would have died to have, growing up.
Exactly. Because the only way he's gonna bounce back from this, he's done in the NFL. He may have to wait a couple of years. It may take him a year or two. He might find himself in Arena League, USFL, or over in yeah, Canadian football, and then they got the football in Europe. He may play for one of those teams, and he might, if he's good still, he might find his way back into the NFL. But it's gonna be some years.
There's one team he may end up on.
Raiders.
Cowboys.
Oh
Jerry,
no,
Jerry Jones, he likes bringing those that's been in trouble. He likes bringing them into Dallas.
exactly. He gonna hire a parole officer to be the next head coach.
But yeah, it's just like I sit there and look at it and everything else. I'm like, man, what are you thinking? I mean, and the thing is, going back, okay, talking about that, keeping your nose clean and everything else, you know, with Boston just won, Joe Mazzulla, we've mentioned it in previous episodes. He was a West Virginia guy that played it with basketball for the Mountaineers.
Right.
And they asked him because Jerry West passed away in these NBA finals, and he asked him about Jerry West. And he said, I think it was his junior year, Joe Mazzulla said, I wasn't going nowhere. He said, my career was actually not going good. And he said, then I get a call, and he said it was Jerry West. And he told me to straighten my hind end up. He said, you're going to throw your career away and everything else. So then he straightened up. And then I think over a summer, He was doing a camp or something. He was staying with Jerry West, and he said, I guess a couple other players were too. But he said, here I was sleeping in and going, not getting up on time. And he said, Jerry West let me have it. He said, to get me back on track. And that's the thing. These kids, I guess they just need some guidance or something. I don't know.
Right.
But I mean, they get that money and they go wild. But like I said, you and I would have killed to have been in that position. I mean, to have that opportunity, and you see these kids throwing it away.
Yeah. I
I
don't get
mean,
it.
I don't get it either, man. It's just like, and who knows what's going to happen with Rasheed Rice? They're in Kansas City. They're still waiting on all that.
Yep.
But I still say he won't play at all this year. That's just my opinion. But well, while we're let's get to some. We'll go a little more in the NBA Finals. There, we just touched on it a little bit. I thought maybe Mr. Keller would be able to get on here, but we'll get him on here one coming up if our schedules can line up and everything else.
Yeah, because next week we'll let him know that next week is Bash Eagles week. See if he wants to come on there. Because the Eagles got no defense. We'll start bashing them in on the
Yeah. That's a good thing we may be doing this live instead in the same room. We can't have an Eagles fan and a Dallas fan in the same room. But did you watch that game the other night at all with that game 5
Oh, you're talking about
NBA?
NBA?
Yeah.
I did. I cut it off at halftime.
Well, you cut it off at halftime.
Yeah.
I mean, that final was 106-88. It just Jaylen Brown got the MVP, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Oh, that's another. I'm glad you brought it up because we wanted to. It's a lot of talk. A lot of people are mad. They think that Jason Tatum should have got it, and I was like, no.
I think Brown should have got it, but that's just my opinion. It's nothing from Tatum. I mean, Tatum, yeah, he had 31 points in game 5, but there was games that Tatum only had like 20, 21 points, and Brown had 40.
He had a game where he had only 18.
Yeah, so
Brown has been more consistent as being the scoring leader.
And then the thing is, to me, and it's taken, when you look at finals MVP, a lot of times, what's forgot about, looked upon when it comes to that award is defense.
Right.
So Jaylen Brown played defense on the defensive end and still scored all his points.
Mm-hmm.
So he was consistent on both ends. I mean, so was Tatum, but Brown to me edged him out.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But I'll tell you what, if I knew it was going to be such a controversy, and if they knew, they probably just say, let's just give it to Drew Holiday.
We'll give it to Joe Mazzulla. But no, that was, I mean, I don't know what the big controversy of that was, but I mean, I think Brown deserved it and everything.
I don't know if I imagined this or I heard it on the news somewhere, but I'm thinking that Joe Mazzulla is the youngest coach to win an NBA.
35 years old, the youngest coach to win an NBA Finals.
Yep.
But like me and you mentioned, and even when he went into Boston last year, I'm like, he couldn't have went into a better situation. All he's got to do is take over that vehicle, over that shit, and just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was already a well-rounded team that he took over. It's not like he had to bring pieces in and out. I mean, you just go in and let it roll, let it run.
Right.
So that's he went into that great situation. Oh, while we're here in the NBA, you seen who the Lakers hired the other day, didn't you?
Yep. The new scapegoat, JJ Redick.
Did you also see who's wanting to test the waters there in LA?
Who? No, I didn't.
LeBron James.
What, as a coach?
No, no, he's wanting to see opting out. I think what it was opting out of his last year, or going to see if maybe going to another team.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Um, they're talking about because and here I don't know if this is just rumor because I got it off of Instagram, but it's like the Dallas Mavericks are interested in trying to get Bronny James.
No, don't tell me that.
Yeah, they're interested in trying to get him, and that's where he wants to mosey along. He wants to go over there to the Mavericks. And I
Well,
think really I think Mark Cuban, like I say, Mark Cuban's a businessman. I really think he's only looking at Bronny James to probably attract what's the name LeBron there. Because if he got LeBron, remember that he already lost one final against. Or wait, did he beat LeBron? I don't know if he lost to LeBron or he beat LeBron. But anyway, the one of those finals, it was the Dallas Mavericks versus the
that's
Miami
when
Heat. But I
that's
don't know if
when
that's the one they won or whether they lost it.
I think that's the one Dirk
Dirk
Nowitzki won.
won.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We looked that up. I think that was it his first or second year in Miami. First 2 years they lost, and then the
Yeah.
last two
In
they
the
won.
last 2 years they won.
Yeah, and then one of those was Dallas. But to me, I think if he goes to Dallas, there goes Dallas' shot for the finals. That's just me. Because I mean, um, you know who's going to run the show there,
Exactly.
so it's going to mess up everything. Um, if I was Dallas, I'd just leave it alone.
So while we're dabbling in the NBA conspiracies, I got one for you. See if you heard this. Now it's a true fact that they had to delay the parade in Boston. I think it's the Boston parade happened either yesterday or what you call it. I think it happened yesterday. I think it was that Friday. It's either this that Friday yesterday that happened, or it's going to be the upcoming Friday. But and the reason why they had to delay it because they was going to make a stop in Miami to party. Now, guess who's in Miami? Whose contract is up in Miami? Jimmy Butler. Do you think they stopped in Miami to talk to Jimmy Butler and say, "Hey, look, we won it. You could be with us next year"? Because remember, Al Horford, when they won, he's retiring. He's done.
Yeah, yeah. He was a big piece if you look at it.
Yeah, because Porzingis was hurt most of the. I mean, he gave it a go. Games 1 and 2, set out 3, 4, and I think he came back just for a little bit in game 5. But yeah, he just couldn't give it a go. Porzingis, he helped them get there, but he was a non-factor throughout them playoffs because he only played in the finals. He didn't play in any other playoff games.
And that first game in the finals scored 20 points.
Yep.
So, but that would be interesting to see. And that would be a big key piece or maybe they went there to talk to Tyler Hero.
Could be.
Nah, I'm just playing. We're getting rumors started everywhere. Ain't we?
I know.
But they need a key piece after Horford's leaving, retiring because they're losing him. I mean, he was kind of like the glue that kept that together as far as the big men, the defense, and he could shoot the ball when they needed him to.
You know what? We just totally overlooked. Horford is retiring. They need another big man. They wouldn't need Jimmy. Jimmy just another guard. Bam Adebayo. I don't know when his contract's up.
Bam, bam.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm helping add to this conspiracy, but it is a thought.
you never know. Maybe LeBron's gonna go to Boston. Maybe that's where he's going to go. He's going to go to Boston. But nah, we'll see what happens. Because you'll be hearing all kinds of rumors now on trades with the NBA and stuff that's going on.
Yeah, because
But
the NBA draft should be happening soon.
yeah, it should. It should be. We'll see what happens. And they only have a couple rounds, don't they? The
Yeah.
NBA. It ain't like the NFL. So we'll see what happens and everything with that. And let me see if I can't get. Is there anything else we need to touch upon before we're
We didn't do
getting
anything other than Willie Mays. We didn't do anything in baseball. And you know what? We have been we have. I'm going to go ahead and admit it. We have neglected the soccer community because I thought soccer didn't actually start till sometime this summer, and I looked it up, found out they've been playing since February. So I don't know how that series going, but we need to bring out start talking about some soccer. But right now, yeah, we didn't go over any baseball.
All right, we'll go. I got some scores up right now. We'll touch upon, and we're getting
Getting
close to
close.
this hour right now. Yesterday, my Braves beat the Yankees. Tonight, right now they're in the top of the ninth, and it looking like the Yankees are going to get the Braves tonight. The Yankees are winning right now, 8-3 in the top of the ninth.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so that one is probably done right there. Um, Top of the ninth in San Diego, the Padres are playing the Brewers. It's 6-0 there. Looks like San Diego is going to win that one. Out in Colorado, in the top of the third, the Nationals and the Rockies are tied 1-1. You got one late game coming on. It's in LA. The Angels and the Dodgers. It ain't started yet. That starts at 10 p.m. Eastern time. And then your finals for the day. The White Sox beat the Tigers 5-1. The Cardinals 9. The Giants 4. The Cubs beat the Mets in Wrigley 8-1. The Phillies clobbered the Diamondbacks 12-1. The Rangers beat the Royals 6-0. Pirates beat the Rays 4-3. The Twins 10, the Athletics 2, Astros 5, Orioles 1, Red Sox 4, Reds 3, the Mariners 9, Marlins 0, and the Guardians beat the Blue Jays 6-3. And we'll touch on a little bit of the standings since it's been a little bit since we did so,
Right.
which I'm sure they've changed and they have right now. You ready for this? Yeah,
Okay.
we're here in the American League East. The Yankees are still in first place, only by one game. But
Ooh.
this game tonight should put them a half a game up. But right now, they got a record of 51-27, which they'll be 52 after tonight's win. The Orioles are 49-27, so there'll be a game and a half up on the Orioles after they finish this game here shortly. The Guardians are still leading the Central by 7.5 games over the Twins. They got a 48-26 record. The Mariners are 45-34, leading the West in the American League by 7 games over the Astros. And now in the East, uh, the Phillies are leading the East 50 with a 50-26 record, 6.5 games on the Braves, but that'll go to 7 games after that loss tonight to the Yankees. And then in the Central, you got the Milwaukee Brewers leading that division 40 with a 44-32 record, 5.5 games up on the Cardinals. And then in the West, the Dodgers are still in control of that 47-31 record. And San Diego Padres are 8 games behind them. So, and it's getting ready to wrap up the first half of that season with
The All
uh,
Star break.
the All Star break will be coming up here shortly. It's usually right after the 4th of July, around the 4th of July. But so that'll be the first part of the season. And then that's when you start seeing teams swinging, getting their momentum going. Um, and the teams that are usually there in the middle, if they don't get it going, usually fall off. So
Right.
we'll see what's going on with that. As that aspect goes on. And I'm trying to see here if I can find anything. Yeah, right here. Let's see what we got. I'm going to click on the Olympics here and see what's got coming up.
Okay.
Let's see here. I don't know if there's anything coming up right now. So we'll be getting ready to. When we find out more on this on the Olympics and everything, we will. But as of right now, I ain't seeing much on it right now. So it should be. It'll be kicking off here shortly. I know soccer is. I think so. I remember seeing it the last time we was on. That soccer will be starting here shortly. So,
Right.
but if I guess that's about it for you. If you ain't remembered anything else, we're going to touch up on or mention right now.
No, I think we really hit the points. Main ones I wanted to get out was the game 7 of the Stanley Cup will be Monday at 8 p.m. It is in Florida, and right now people are expecting that Florida will have the momentum, but I don't. I think they lost it. I think Edmonton. I think the Oilers will get some oil out of them cats. They're gonna drill for oil in some cats.
I'm gonna watch that and see what happens. And I'll mention this before we wrap it up. Hopefully, not next week, the week after. One of our guest speakers that we mentioned, I've been staying in contact with. If we can get him on there, we're going to do, I think, a live recording, ain't we? If we can, and then we'll post it on there or however.
For Judah Price.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see if Judah Price, we're gonna record it. We can record the episode and probably play it during record the interview and play it during a live, or we may just do an episode on that by itself and just post it on the site.
So as I think of as of not next week, the week after, I think we're going to meet up. And Judah Price, the running back for West Virginia Mountaineers, he's going to talk. He's a local guy from around here, and I thought it'd be pretty cool to get him on here and having maybe some encouragement to some listeners around here, maybe young listeners that are playing or whatever, but get an idea of everything that's going on around here as far as playing sports in high school and see what his perspective is of playing college football.
Right.
So, and I mentioned it in the episode before, or one of them, that this area don't produce a lot, but we have had, I'll say this, I forgot to mention Ahmad Bradshaw that played for the Giants, got a Super Bowl ring. He was,
Oh.
yeah, he was one of those. He was from Bluefield,
Mm-hmm.
played down there. Also, another guy I've worked with in the coal mines, believe it or not, he's from Bluefield, Ubernell Isabel. He played for the Patriots and got a Super Bowl ring with John Brady. So there's been some talent that's come from the southern part of the state and around this area. But it's been good to get him on there and hear him and everything else. And I'm excited to get him on here and talk to him.
We got that picture of Bradshaw on the second floor at
Yes.
work. We see it all the time. Why we didn't think about
So yeah, it's I keep forgetting about but I guess that's about it. Like when we end every episode that we do, whether it be recording or live, we
hmm
shout out to our veterans out there and shout out to those that are serving this country. If you always have a thought about hurting yourself, suicide, talk to somebody, talk to a battle buddy, talk to a friend, or you can always call.
988, the Veterans Crisis Line.
That's it. Call it, and they'll get you in contact with the people you need. Or also go into your local VA medical center. There's always people there on staff if you need to talk to someone, to get you in contact with somebody. So don't be afraid to talk to somebody. It's very important. Keep in contact with people. And if you notice some changes that ain't right with someone, talk to them, help them out, try to get them some help. But if that's it, it'll be all for tonight. If Cold Beans don't have anything,
I don't have anything.
so until next time, we'll probably I guess be on audio or live or however. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but
I think
we'll
we just record it for Monday's episode. We're gonna record it like we are. It's just that I'm just gonna probably just upload it on the audio, or who knows? I might just split it and do both audio and live and just put it on the site.
there you go. Sounds good to me.
Okay.
All right, that's it from here with us from Cool Beans and me. And stay safe tonight. And y'all have a great weekend. And we'll see you next time.
Alrighty.
Still there, Beans?